There you go. Now take him back. Good job.
Oh, man, don't do that.
Hey, you're disrespecting a veteran. You just got arrested for that shit.
You're fucking disrespecting veterans with your fucking communist bullshit.
Yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you did.
Where to now? What are your cars? But where to now? Out of here. Where's your car? Where's your now? Where's your car at? But none of these people have cars. They came in here skateboarding that way. Skateboards and all that shit.
Hey, Brian,
Where you going?
we gotta go. We got a kid. We got a birthday party on this side.
Oh, you're fucking drunk. Shit out of here.
All right.
Get out of there.
So we are currently marching the Antifa commie bastards out of the neighborhood because nobody wants Antifa in the neighborhood. Nobody wants them here, so we're marching them out.
Go. We will. You guys step away from the fucking houses. We're gonna leave. Hey, guys. Patriots.
Good. We'll come back down here.
Fucking communist scum.
Bye-bye, commie scum. Bye-bye. Go home. Bye-bye. Oh, shit. Here we go.
Don't arrest somebody. Who's the old man? Come on, I got you. They started it.
Yeah, really nice of you dirty commies to go after a man in a wheelchair. That's real tough of you, bud. Yeah. Oh, now they're going after the cops, too?
Now they're going.
Now they're going after the cops.
Thank you.
You might just be knocked out.
What is that guy on? Sorry, man. There they go. Commies walking home. Bye-bye. And it looks like 2 arrests.
Patriots and police are rising up and defeating Antifa rioters in suburbs all across the country. That's right. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest examples of American citizens standing up to leftist thugs who started to invade our nation's suburbs, effectively causing them to retreat, and how the latest fad of woke cultural Marxism is no match, absolutely no match, for the forces of faith, family, and freedom that are defending and protecting our neighborhoods. This is going to absolutely make your day. Greetings, everyone! Patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If this is your first time here at this channel and you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism as well as analysis to help you make sense of these crazy times, you have found your oasis in this channel. We post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, analyzing some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. We help you to think better so you can feel better. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new patriotic conservative age. Now, before we dive into things here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's our good friends over at BioTrust. With our rapid advances in science over the years, there really is much more powerful and effective ways to boost your immune system than just taking mega doses of vitamin C. In fact, our sponsors over at BioTrust have combined 4 of the world's best immune-supporting powerhouses, along with that mega dose of vitamin C, into their #1 immunity support product, Ageless Body. Simply put, Ageless Body provides you 5 of the most powerful immune support ingredients available. Gang, I take it every day and I love it. And if you click on that link below today, you can now get Ageless Body. Get this, you can get it at their lowest price ever, up to 51% off with free US shipping to boot. So do not wait. Click on that link or go to agewithsteveturley.com and give your immune system an awesome boost today. All right, gang. Let's dive right in here. Wow, oh wow. What do we say to this? Patriots are rising up all across the country to defend and protect their neighborhoods and their communities from the horrific destruction that was unleashed in our nation's cities and urban areas as a direct result of the willful and deliberate incompetence of Democrat mayors and governors. Now, the latest example comes to us from a Colorado suburban neighborhood. I am not sure what it is, which neighborhood. A bunch of Antifa thugs showed up, but if they were expecting a neighborhood of liberal-minded subservience like you have, in Portland or Seattle, boy, were they in for a rude awakening. Now, what apparently happened is that they were harassing a disabled veteran in his wheelchair. And, frankly, that was it. I mean, these patriots have a zero-tolerance policy in their neighborhoods when it comes to harassing disabled military veterans, right? Heroes. And you can see them these Antifa thugs backing up, realizing that they were totally outnumbered and that these patriots were ready to do what was needed to protect their neighborhood from a very real danger. Just like the armed couple in St. Louis who were branding guns defending their homes from BLM activists. These patriots had every rational right on the planet to assume that they were going to be victims of violence as well. It never ceases to amaze me how borderline illiterates like Chris Cuomo over at CNN, right, the most trusted name in fake news, Fredo Cuomo, he could have the gall to blame law-abiding citizens for taking measures to defend their life and property from demonstrators after Cuomo himself asked rhetorically whoever said demonstrators had to be peaceful. It's beyond hypocrisy. It's blatantly Orwellian. You've got a major news anchor, better propaganda peddler, who states unequivocally that demonstrators have every right in the world to be violent, and then he excoriates a St. Louis couple for assuming that the demonstrators could become violent. What do you expect from a left-wing activist disguised as journalist? But what happened here in this Colorado suburb is just par for the course of what's happening in suburbs and exurbs all across the country. We talked about this in yesterday's video, right? In the town of Bethel, Ohio, about 80 Black Lives Matter protesters descended on the town. But these 80 protesters, they were met with over 700 counter-protesters armed with rifles, handguns, and baseball bats, which forced the activists to retreat. In the town of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, all they needed to hear was rumors about Antifa thugs planning on rioting in their town for a number of armed citizens, both men and women, to come on out and begin patrolling the streets, their main streets and the like, and protecting businesses. And in a number of towns throughout the state of Washington, right, just outside of Seattle, and its failed Marxist experiment with the Chaz Autonomous Zone, you can regularly see armed residents patrolling and defending their own neighborhoods. Now, what is so interesting here, for me at least, as an analyst, is that scholars have actually studied this phenomenon of communities and counterinsurgency, right? Citizen militias rising up and effectively pushing back against revolutionaries and anarchists. And what's really interesting in this, as we saw in this video, what scholars have noticed is that community counterinsurgency movements are often aided and supported by police and law enforcement agencies. In other words, successful counterinsurgency efforts are characterized by a partnership, an alliance between law-abiding communities and law enforcement. The combination of the two is extraordinarily formidable, as we certainly saw in the video. And there are several reasons for this success, and I think it's first and foremost, counterinsurgent communities are evidence of very healthy patriotic communities. Again, this is what makes nationalist populism so absolutely important in fostering a flourishing social order. And it's what makes globalism so pernicious and frankly so evil. Globalism destroys localized communal identities by eclipsing them with political centralization. A one-size-fits-all political and economic system, precisely because globalism operates according to something called standardization. And this is where you have economic, industrial, and technical protocols that are adopted as normative throughout the world, completely irrespective of cultural and religious norms. And this is a one-size-fits-all approach to human life that eclipses it and indeed negates any national or local cultural or religious identity. And what globalism in effect does is it weakens community. It erodes the local of its dynamics that give this world a sense of being a home. a sense of permanence and a sense of place, and with it a sense of moral obligation to defend what is right and just and good. And this, I believe, is precisely where globalism fails. Globalization entails its own futility, and we found this out big time with our neocon attempts to bring liberal democracy to the Middle East. We found out very, very quickly that few are willing to die for liberalism or feminism or LGBT rights. But what were they most certainly willing to die for? For land, for people, for custom, for language, for religion, right? Giving one's life, defending one's home is seemingly universal. And I don't think there's anything in globalization that appears to have a chance in overcoming such innate fidelities. And that is precisely where nationalist populism comes in. Nationalist populism fosters the very frames of reference like faith, family, and freedom needed for strong, patriotic, and brave communities. And that's exactly what we're seeing rise up here in Colorado and indeed in suburbs throughout our nation. Intentional communities of patriots made up of citizens who love their nation, their culture, their customs, and their traditions are one of the most powerful forms of resistance against revolutionaries and insurgents who want to destroy those customs, cultures, and traditions precisely because they hate their nation. Now, this love for community, this love for nation, culture, custom, and tradition, I think is only one reason why this citizen-based community counterinsurgency is rising up. The other reason, of course, is the unprecedented, intentional dereliction of law enforcement duties by Democrat politicians. We have to remember that race riots are not unprecedented, obviously, right? There were actually 137 violent riots in a single year alone that followed Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination back in April of 1968. We've seen race riots most recently in LA and Ferguson and Baltimore. I mean, you name it. That's not what's unprecedented here. What's so unprecedented is that Democrat politicians have willfully and deliberately abdicated their law enforcement responsibilities in the face of this latest round of race riots. The infuriating frustration, the utter disgust that we conservatives have collectively experienced over the last several weeks stems from the fact that amid the mass looting and violence, a litany of governors and mayors, all Democrats, refused to do anything about it. As hysterical mobs toppled historical monuments across the country, Democrat lawmakers sided with lawbreakers, throwing law enforcement under the bus. The face mask and social distancing protocols that were considered absolutely non-negotiable by tyrannical leftist governors just a few weeks prior were suddenly and arbitrarily dismissed by those same governors so as to accommodate and coddle for and allow for a wave of destructive wokeness to flood our city streets and wreak havoc in virtually every Democrat-dominated city in the nation. Remember, things were so bad in Democrat-run Seattle that the city council actually threatened the mayor that if she backed the police, she would be impeached. They threatened her with impeachment if she didn't side with the protesters. It was beyond insane. And so as a result, these BLM and Antifa rioters have been emboldened, and they've begun to move into the suburbs. But they are quickly finding out, like we saw in Colorado, they are quickly finding out that America's exurbs and suburbs are not Seattle. They aren't occupied by a bunch of Democrat residents so willing to bow to the raging gods of wokeness. These thugs are encountering a massive uprising of patriots who are effectively causing them to retreat with their tail between their legs. And the best part is that law enforcement is on the side of the patriots. Police officers, as you saw, police officers are not arresting patriots. They are arresting Antifa thugs. That, in my view, is what's so amazing in all of this. As the cultural Marxists at CNN and MSNBC try to convince us that a new era of wokeness has swept across the nation, patriots in our suburbs and exurbs are fighting back along with police. And as BLM and Antifa rioters are destroying their own neighborhoods, these patriot and police are rising up to defend and protect their own. One side is destroying themselves and their communities. The other side is defending themselves and their communities. You don't have to be a genius to figure out how this movie ends. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded. It's a great part 2 to this on armed militias rising up to stand in the gap of feckless Democrat mayors and governors who refuse to enforce the law. You are not going to want to miss this. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.